What up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Tuning in, Crypto Street Podcast. This is Crypto Dale. Coming to you with a flooded ass basement. It's great. It's great.
It's great.
It's so good. Being a homeowner is great. Hire professionals, folks. That's what you got to do. Prince,
What's up?
it's good. You Canadian lady slayer.
I'm just enjoying how soothing that intro was. Like your voice was it was beautiful, man.
It's
Like,
been a while because
hey man,
Yeah,
like I
you
need you to
crushed
do
that.
my shows like that. That's amazing. That flooded basement sounded sexy for some reason.
well, part of my side gig is one of those. I'm a voiceover on the 1-800 numbers. So
Phone sex?
yeah, phone sex.
Fair market things.
Yeah, it is it's been a while for me. I was 2 weeks ago I was sick. Last week I was dealing with a flooded basement round 1. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's good
Good
to have
job,
you
crew back.
Yeah.
Are you
we're
guys
back.
getting wicked cold where you're at? Like,
Oh yeah, like last week, Friday, the day that my pipes burst. The day before it was like -40.
jeez, I thought I had it bad. Yeah, that's horrible.
And they say when the pipe actually bursts, it's when it heats up and the ice expands and kapooey.
My truck wouldn't start on the weekend. That was a first all year. I'm actually having to plug it in again, which is kind of just
Jeez.
inconvenient at times, right? It's
Do you have is it a diesel?
oh fuck no, it's not diesel.
Why do you have to plug it in then?
Yeah,
Oh, it don't want to start. It do not want to start, man.
That makes no
It-
sense.
Yeah, it does not want to start. Gotta plug her in.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
El Whale, what's good, homie?
This is where I come in and everybody hates me because it's been freezing in Los Angeles, a balmy 48 degrees. No, for real though. Like it's been in the 40s, which for us
That
is
is
like
cold.
it's like lock up the children and hide in a blanket. It's like
What,
it's been weird here.
Like, what do you even wear? Do you even have stuff for that cold?
No, what I didn't like for the past couple of years.
That's an awkward climate because how do you optimally dress for that? Just that's a tricky climate. I would be lost. I don't know what I would do.
I'm learning sweaters, just sweaters.
Yeah,
'Cause
just a
it's
lot of sweaters.
Yeah, that's normally like pretty comfortable. Not too hot, not too cold. So
Welcome to Crypto Street Vogue, where we talk about clothing.
It's all about fashion now.
Yeah, markets suck, so we're gonna not lately, but we're gonna start talking about clothing. And why not have someone trendsettier, looking sexy in that polo and the backwards hat, and Crypto Core, Nick Core, my man.
I do have the Gucci sponsor, so nobody has that.
Ooh.
And you got that sexy ass coffee mug,
Yeah, boss lady.
boss lady.
Yep, at the bottom of it, it actually says, "I'm not bossy. I am the boss." So when you're done with your coffee, you look at that and remind yourself how bossy you actually are.
That is fantastic. So Bella, I see Bella's in the chat, so we're not going to ask you how you got into crypto because we don't want her to bust our balls. So let's just really dive in. We've seen some people turn bullish on the market on Twitter. Nick, why don't you kind of give your take on where we're sitting right now, maybe where you think we're going to go?
So the bear market's still in effect. Doesn't mean we can't have bullish impulses, right? And I think a lot of traders get carried away with a single bullish impulse without actually waiting for confirmation of the downtrend to be broken. Nothing's broken yet. As a matter of fact, we're in a very dangerous range. But yeah, it's my view is we're still in a downtrend, so it's safer to if you're not an experienced trader to stay out of the market and not try to time these impulses. If you are, wait for the confirmation. That's basically been my trading strategy lately as the market decides where it's going to go. I wait for a confirmation break and enter my trade on that. Altcoins, even more dangerous than trading Bitcoin. Very few of them are going to, have sustainable rallies, a lot of fake outs, a lot of double tops. And so you have to really pick them carefully. Yeah, still there, still a bear market and nothing to be excited about yet. I think about $6,000 though. 5,500 is when I start looking for the bear market to be over, if we get to that point anytime in the near future.
Do you find yourself trading Bitcoin more so on margin, or?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm more of a leverage trader than anything. Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever leverage is available. Typically, Ethereum's been pretty decent to try and trade. It's been tracking Bitcoin pretty well. It seems like for every 1% move Bitcoin makes, Ethereum makes 5%.
Yeah.
5% move, that can really wreck your portfolio. But if you know what you're doing, you use proper risk management, and your proper stop losses and take profits and all that jazz, then it's pretty safe. But yeah, I like leverage more than anything. Much more profitable than trying to time altcoins right now. So.
Do you find it concerning at all how bullish people seem to have gotten on Twitter already?
Yeah, and it's some people that have actually traded through the last bear market. And so I'm a little bit surprised. Like there was some pretty prominent traders at around 11, 12,000 trying to call the bottom. And there's been times when I thought, like when we first broke 6,000, I thought 4,000 would hold pretty well. It didn't, and I was wrong. But that's the nature of trading, is you're wrong. There's not a single trader out there that's right 100% of the time. What separates the profitable traders from the unprofitable traders is the way they structure their trades and their setups and things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like you don't even have to be right on the majority of your trades if your position sizing and your losses are small, and if your positions on your winners are outsized, then you could still be profitable winning, say, 40% of your trades or 45% of your trades.
So actually professional traders average 40%, and that's on a professional level. But if you take a risk reward of 2.0 or higher on every trade, you only need 28% of your trades to be right, to be profitable. That's what the risk reward of 2.0 or higher. So that's another reason why risk management is so important. You can be a horrible analyst, shit at TA, but as long as use proper risk management, it only takes 28% of the time to win. You can go, you can have an even less win rate if you take a higher risk reward also.
So how long do you typically ride a trade?
It depends on what the charts are showing me. If it looks like a major move's coming up, then it could be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks. We haven't had any major moves for a while. It's been Chop City, which is the worst for a day trader, especially at the bottom of a bear market at our low. Yeah. You don't get a lot of there's not a lot of analysis coming in through indicators and various techniques. Of course, there's always a trade available, but a more volatile market is ideal on that. You asked the question and I got off on a tangent and forgot it already.
That happens to me all the time, man. It was mainly just like how long does a typical trade duration last for you? But
yeah, I mean, so in a market like this, it's real easy. I'm going to screen share real quick. It's real easy to force trades. Chop like this. Sometimes, I'll take a channel, something very small and minute, and trade the top to the bottom. And, those can last anywhere from a couple minutes to a couple hours sometimes, like this little green box, for example. And that's just an example. So it really just depends on what the market is presenting. And it's anywhere from, 15 minutes sometimes to a couple weeks. I do take investments on an occasion. Things like XLM I've used as an investment, also not a cryptocurrency, more of a company. Where fundamentals apply much more than the technicals. But like in the bull market, I mean, there was days where I was making anywhere from 30 to 40 trades a day, just based on what the charts were giving me. So
when you're setting up your trade, typically you have a take profit in mind. Now, say the trade's getting up there and maybe it's looking like it's going to bust through that take profit level and it's going to keep going. Will you stay true to that take profit level and will you trim off, or will you manage it and say, you know what, this has got more juice left? How would you approach that?
So typically, yes, I keep the take profit because very many times something looks like it's really powerful and a strong impulse up, like Ethereum, for instance. We get these ridiculous impulses up that are just so powerful, tons of buy action going on. Volume looks fantastic. But as soon as we get to that resistance, it just boom, flat. You know, like yesterday, I traded Ethereum, tweeted about it. Trade worked out perfect. Closed it at 124.70, I believe. And then we immediately had that candle down that just wiped out every piece of gain and then some. Like on BitMEX, for instance, it was huge. And so, you know, it may look strong at the moment, and it did look strong when it was rallying, but I tend to believe in my analysis from the beginning and stick to that. And if it continues to go, I don't beat myself up over it because there's another opportunity the next couple minutes. Crypto has so many trading opportunities. It's ridiculous to try to risk, you know, a take profit on a trade. There has been instances where, like when we crossed 10,000 the first time and we just kept going and going and going, and you know, nothing analysis wise makes sense. You know, I'll keep it open and maybe add like a trailing stop on it. Okay. So if it looks real powerful, then I'll add something like a trailing stop, or at least deleverage the position down to where it's not too much in case I can't get out of the position at the right time.
Okay. So now I guess other side of this topic, when you're setting a take profit level, what goes into you saying, okay, this is a level that, you know, it gets here and I'm going to be unloading some of my, you know, exposure?
Yeah, so it all starts with price action, really. Support and resistance levels, things like that. It's typically where I look for my take profits, especially in a day trade. So yeah, it can be anywhere from, it could be a price at, sorry, it can be a support or resistance. That coffee has hit me hard, by the way, really hard. I was so tired. I was like, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, and the boss lady cup did it. We'll slow it down here. But sometimes I use a Fibonacci extension if there's no clear resistance in mind. What else? Also, moving averages work, but I don't use moving averages in my trading strategy. I use Ichimoku, which is more of an advanced form of moving averages, believe it or not. A lot of people don't realize those are actually a series of moving averages that have formed an equilibrium in the market. And so I use that as my moving averages. And I'll use that on occasion for a take profit. So
okay.
I noticed when you brought up the chart, a bunch of horizontal lines, support, resistance, that sort of stuff. And that's something I see more and more common where, you know, people, they use certain indicators and they go back and forth. They go Ichimoku, they go moving averages, they go Fibonacci. But the thing I seem to see with a lot of top traders is just horizontals. That's it. Not even that's it, but that's like the primary thing they look at: channels, support, resistance. And I think there's a little bit of a freedom, you know, in terms of simplifying your charting a little bit. Walk through perhaps what your journey with indicators has been like, maybe what you used when you first started out, how that went, and what brought you to the indicators you use now.
Sure. Yeah. So I started pretty much out of high school with just basic price action trading, very retailish, and I don't really think I developed like a decent analysis skill level till my 20s or so. And then I will also say crypto makes you grow up very fast when it comes to trading. Trading traditional markets is easy compared to crypto. We get candles like this right here that you don't see in traditional markets. It just doesn't make any sense. A rally up and then a dump. Stop hunts are very common. But yeah, I start with price action trading, and that's what I originally started with. All forms of analysis should have that, you know, computed into your analysis. And yeah, horizontals are pretty popular, but I also do use diagonals because they do exist. But take a look at the market now. You know, flat, drop, flat, drop, flat, drop. Horizontals obviously are very useful at this moment. And, you know, my charts are kind of messy right now. I flipped over to Ethereum just because it's not as messy as the Bitcoin chart. But it's also, I have them colored different things because they're my own personal analysis. They mean different things, and I won't take you through all of that. But I do use diagonals also. It's just right now, horizontals are most appropriate. And considering, you know, we drop down, consolidate, pop up, consolidate, back and forth. Like, for instance, this trade yesterday. Let me put this on the center screen. When I enter into a trade, I like to place ranges on my buys or my sell orders. A lot of traders like to just do a single area, like a specific area, 116.64. And I have found many times it wouldn't hit. for whatever reason, and then you're frustrated. So I like to put on a nice range, and we get pretty good ranging with cryptocurrencies anyway. So it typically fills. My stop loss is now deleted on that, but it was right here. I don't know. I tweeted about it, but my stops are typically red.
Okay.
So here was my entry, and then my take profit is 124.69, which I didn't use a range on, and horizontals worked good on it. So yeah.
So for anyone listening now, like if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, head over to our YouTube channel because Nick's screen sharing and showing some of his charts. So it might sound a little foreign to you if you're listening, but we're just head over to our YouTube. You can watch it, see the screenshots, and then you'll know what he's talking about.
Or if you're driving and listening to it, just close your eyes and visualize the chart, and that works really well too.
It works great. We're getting some good questions on the chat.
Hold on, can we pause? I want to hit a question real quick.
Yeah, do it.
On the chart, you just had up, and this is kind of a common question, like I'll get a lot, and it's in regards to the wicks. You get like there's just some crazy candles, right? And it'll make it look like there's a big move happening, and then all of a sudden it's back to where it opened. What's your take on some of these moves, and how do you keep yourself from potentially getting sucked in and then almost getting spit back out by the wick?
Don't try to catch knives unless you really know what you're doing. Things like that. Don't try to FOMO in, because those type of wicks, they're very dangerous. Almost every single 95% of my trades are pre-planned from beginning to end. I see the entry, I have the stop loss and the take profit in mind, measure it. The risk reward is great, then it's a trade. If not, then it's not a trade. So when we have those gigantic wicks up and down, they're frustrating, right? But you also want to account for it a little bit when you're placing things like your stop loss. And that's really hard to do. There's really no formula to account for something like that. So I guess the best approach to take with dealing with these type of wicks and these type of gigantic moves that come back down to its equilibrium is don't plan for them, because there's no way to predict them. Just plan your trade the way you should with your analysis, and if they happen, they happen. That's the nature of trading, especially day trading on these small moves. You can't plan for them, and if again, I sound like a broken record, but if your risk management is right, it doesn't matter when we get these gigantic stop hunts and things like that. You'll be profitable over time if the rest of your trades are correct.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hit up some of these questions in the chat. Crypto412, our homeboy Pittsburgh, says, hey, Nick, what are some of your favorite sources to learn trading? What books? Anybody have a good web series you like? Stuff like that.
So I get this question a lot on trading books, and I really don't have any I can recommend. I'm sure there's plenty out there. But to be honest, there's a lot of stuff on Google. That was the question, right? Like where to learn.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. I mean, so I do private classes and stuff, and I charge very little for them. Basically just to reimburse myself for the time, because I have a bigger vision that I'm doing with all these classes in the end. But you can pay someone to teach you, and some people learn better that way. Some people learn better through books, but honestly, there is so much free information on Google. If you don't know an indicator, or you don't know, a basic trading strategy, all that stuff's for free. There's a lot of paid groups that charge for stuff they shouldn't be charging for. Bitcoin Masons is one of my groups. Plugging it in here, but it's free. And there's a lot of information in there that other paid groups charge for. And, at some point, we're going to have paid classes and stuff in there, but it's stuff that's not available, for free that people can learn. And so honestly, if you don't have the money to have somebody to teach you one-on-one trading, just do a Google search, find a topic and learn it. There's so much information out there. Take it for what it is. It's information on the internet. And from there, fine tune it to fit your strategy, because every trading strategy is going to be different.
Yeah, that's great. Bella wants to know,
Skip,
do you have any mentors or people you look up to in regards to trading?
Nah.
Look, I have friends that I trade with, and we're friends, and I guess no matter the skill level of a trader, there's always something to learn from that person, whether it be something they did wrong. You can always fine tune your trading strategy and analysis skills. There's nobody that knows it all. There really isn't. But I mean, I don't have somebody I look up to. I have my friends that I respect, and yeah, that's about it. What's his name? Peter Brandt. He's my idol.
There we go.
Not really, guys. Many times I've spoken against the way Peter Brandt does things. And look, he has right calls. I have right calls. He has wrong calls. I have wrong calls. But what I don't do, and what I don't like that he does, is he'll tweet out 40 different scenarios of an asset, and then he has been shown to delete the scenarios that go wrong. Yeah. I don't know about lately because I haven't really been paying attention. But here's the thing. So Peter Brandt is Peter Brandt, right? I could still learn something from him. I'm sure there's something I can learn from him. So there's that. But he's not my idol. I just don't have one in particular that I can think of. We'll go with Josh McGruff, my boy Josh McGruff, on that, even though I give him, a little bit of tips here and there. But I respect and I look up to him as a dad and a father.
Dude, he's such a great guy.
When I do have some kids, I strive to be like him. He works his ass off to support his kids and his wife, and one of the most honest, solid dudes out there. Never has done anybody wrong.
Never will do anybody wrong.
Yeah, never will. I don't have a doubt in my mind whenever that guy says something. I know where he's at 100%.
Yeah, there are some good people on crypto Twitter, believe it or not.
Yeah, believe it or not, there are.
Yeah.
Somewhat few and far between, but yeah.
That's what I need to do with my follower list. We were talking about, for those that aren't, obviously you guys didn't hear the conversation beforehand, but I was talking about all the people I follow and how I need to get rid of it. I'm going to just get rid of everybody that I don't trust and then just follow those. So I'm ready for your hate mail.
You'll be down to about DMs 5 to 10 people.
Yeah, you're gonna get random DMs from people you used to follow that you unfollow, and it's just gonna be like, "Hey, man, what's your problem?" Like,
yeah, what I'm a scammer?
You got beef with me or something, bro? Like, people take it pretty seriously. So,
to be honest,
and it's crazy. Like you immediately unfollow them, and you immediately get a message from them. It's like, do they have like some bot that says so and so has unfollowed you?
I think maybe there is. I think there's probably got to be something like that. I don't know of anything.
There are apps that will, you can kind of link them to your Twitter account, and they'll tell you if people are unfollowing you and all that shit. But
who cares?
To me, it's like if you're going to that point, you're maybe taking it a little too seriously.
I'm gonna start using one of those apps, and then I'm gonna call everybody out in a tweet.
Me too.
Oh, you unfollow, somebody with 5 followers. I'm gonna call them out.
My unfollow Friday list. Thanks to all you guys. And just
that is great. That is so good. Hey Nick, one thing I've always kind of wondered was, there's so many crypto assets out there. How when you sit down and start trading, what process do you go through to find something that you're like, okay, I'm going to look at this chart. I'm going to do the fundamental analysis on this. Maybe describe what that process is like for you.
Yeah, sure. So I don't do a lot of fundamental analysis. My trading is almost all technicals most of the time. Like if it's an investment, then obviously, something I'm looking at for a year or 2 years, then I'm looking at fundamentals. But fundamentals apply so little in cryptocurrencies compared to traditional markets. It's a technical market. It really is. All of our impulses and entries are based on the technicals. So like in 2017, when we had the Wild West of ICOs, I would go through the fundamentals on that. But even then, fundamentals aren't applying as much because everything is overvalued and speculative years in the future. There's a lot of projects that are worth, 10 times more than they actually are. And so in my eyes, fundamentals apply so little. I focus on the technicals, and that's the type of trades I take. So my process, I really can't describe it because there is none for me. Of course, I'll look at the market cap if I'm looking at an investment, and I'll look at what they've got coming up in the future. I'll investigate, the team, make sure all that's legit. But yeah, I'm more of a technical guy than anything, and most of my capital flows from my portfolio are based on technicals.
When you're trading, you'll typically find probably one pair that you tend to prefer over everything else, and you probably just kind of stick to that, eh?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I look at really is the Bitcoin pair, obviously, just because that's the amount of volume, most amount of volume, most liquidity, and there's always a trade presented, almost always, and Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, some of the major higher caps. Once in a while, Bcash, so Bcash is garbage in my eyes, and I really don't care what anybody says it is. It just has no place, but that doesn't mean there's not a trade there. For instance, I think SV will outperform ABC long term or even short term. So there's always a trade there, but yeah, my preferred pair is Bitcoin USD on leverage.
Nice. If you had to, do you have a preference when you're trading in pairings between, say, US dollar pair or a Bitcoin pair?
For altcoins?
Just in general, if you, perfect world, what do you want your pairing to be?
In a perfect world, I'd like everything paired in BTC, and I can use that BTC to pay for everything in life. But unfortunately, the reality of the situation is we still need US dollars to pay most of our bills and live day to day. So, there is some focus I have on USD. When I short, I'm focused on USD and I'm hedging. I've never sold all my Bitcoin, not on any correction. I always just open a leveraged short to protect the dollar value of my portfolio. So I've never gone to all fiat. And that's because I don't want to miss a potential impulse up. Let's say it's a truncated correction, and I miss my entry, then I'm sitting in worthless fiat instead of Bitcoin. So I prefer to trade Bitcoin on Bitcoin for a leverage trade. And my ideal universe would be, everything paid in Bitcoin, and I could focus on only that. But how would we trade Bitcoin if that existed?
Yeah.
I think that's especially true where we're at now because the markets are down so much. I mean, the risk reward is clearly skewed higher, I think, in terms of the bear market might not be over, but how much further are we really going to go down? And granted, I've been saying that since 6,000. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think absolutely it makes sense to skew towards the long end at this point.
Yeah. My thoughts also on, you know what? No more coffee for me. Lost my train of thought. Wow.
Just in terms of maintaining some never going full fiat, always having some exposure to the crypto markets.
Right. Yeah. I don't ever want to catch the bottom or miss the bottom of the market. So I'd prefer to remain, mainly in Bitcoin. And so that's the focus, is accumulate more Bitcoin on corrections. But I'm protecting the US dollar value of my portfolio. At the same time accumulating more Bitcoin with my shorts.
Yeah, something I've been looking into lately is just auto buys on Bitcoin, because at this point, I started up my auto buys a month ago, just weekly, just a small amount, just chipping away, investing a little bit into Bitcoin every week. And I think we're at the level now where that's going to make sense. Odds are that's going to make sense more than not at this point. Just accumulate, and that requires zero skill. That's, I think, a pretty easy thing people can do to have good exposure and make their cost basis not a crazy number if you're starting it at a price level like this.
Right. Yeah. My entire income is from trading and stuff like that. I don't really ever buy Bitcoin from USD. I just more focus on accumulating more. But for those that aren't, a full-time trader, that's a great option is the auto buy, especially if you believe in it long term.
Yeah. Somebody's asking in the chat, Nick, any thoughts on the Ethereum fork?
No, I'm not familiar with it enough to be giving thoughts on it, other than I guess I should at some point. When is the date coming up on it?
I don't know either.
I don't even know. You can.
I know it's been delayed multiple times.
When it starts mattering with price and the technicals, unfortunately, I'll see it on Twitter. So that's when I'll start paying attention and reading up on it and see how that may apply to the technicals on Ethereum, what trades and opportunities are presentable. But I really don't know a lot about it. I'll say this on Ethereum, though. I do believe Ethereum is going to go up, and it does have a place, but it won't be a rally as rapid as a rally as we saw in 2017 and 2016, because it's there's not as many ICOs being built on it. It's not used as much. It had its craze, and so I think its growth will still happen, but just not at the rate everybody's expecting. And
yeah, somebody had a tweet, like I think it was either this past week or maybe a week before that, but it was outlining dApps and how little usership every single dApp has. Like nothing has any meaningful user numbers at this point. But I think despite that, it's just I look at I look at it this way. I sit down, I go 3 years from now, is Ethereum going to be higher than $120? And I would be shocked if it's not, because I mean, love it or hate it, some people think Ethereum is like the biggest scam coin. Maybe it is, but like it's still the coin that a lot of new people come in and they go, oh, that's the next Bitcoin, and it has all these features that Bitcoin doesn't, like built-in smart contracts.
And you look at what platform a lot of the space is built on for a lot of these tokens. It's on the Ethereum network, right? Sure, they don't do shit all, but it is on the Ethereum network.
Yeah, and I just think the developer support too.
My only concern with Ethereum as an investment is the centralization part. And I'll tell you what I mean. If Vitalik were to die tomorrow, what's going to happen to the price of Ethereum? It's going to tank, right? And I realize there's other developers. I get that. People have kindly pointed that out on Twitter in case I was too stupid to understand that, but I get that. But a lot of it is centralized around Vitalik, and a single individual with that much power, and I trust he would do the best with Ethereum at this point. He's too binary to have self-gain in mind at this point, if that makes any sense. But at the same time, what if he all of a sudden decides to stop working on Ethereum, or something happens to him where he's incapacitated? Then that investment will go to shit basically overnight, and it's going to take a while to recover, regardless of how much actual activity he is working on Ethereum. Just the news alone will create a major sell-off.
And if he keeps eating them boogers, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That might have been a little out of line.
Thanks, Dale.
It's fair, though. It's fair. He's been caught numerous times.
And Mike Tyson pointed out in the chat, look what happened when there was a rumor he died. Yeah, what was that, like middle of 2017 or whatever?
Yeah.
When we started dumping, somebody spread like a fake link or something. And it dumped on that. I remember that.
Yeah, that's a serious. Yeah, that is a real kind of risk that nobody really wants to think about. But
yeah, and there's regular individuals that are not part of crypto that ask all the time, is Ethereum a great investment? And my opinion is no as an investment, because of the potential risk involved. There's other investments out there. Not that you can't trade it, but be very careful long term holding that, because there is that potential risk. It's not like Amazon. Okay, that's a bad example. What's a company? I was gonna say if Bezos died, like Amazon would tank, right? It's not like, let's just say Mountain Dew.
Elon Musk. If Musk was to go, Tesla, it would like rip. I would say their stock price would just fucking crazy. Right.
Vitalik is not like a regular CEO where he can be replaced by the next guy from Harvard or something. He is Vitalik, and yeah. Satoshi's best idea ever was to disappear. Honestly, that has given Bitcoin longevity and taken away a lot of the news cycle. If he was around, every little thing he did would be creating news and moving the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people, I think, don't really even think about often, is how much actually like beneficial it is just for Bitcoin in itself to have the founder, the creator, just not is just not surfacing, is nowhere to be seen. Yeah, it's actually a huge plus.
Yeah.
And the thing is, too, I mean, that's not easily repeatable because at the time that happened, at the time the Genesis block for Bitcoin was spawned, you know, you didn't have any of the regulations. There was no attention on this space at all. So it was easy to be anonymous. You know, it wasn't like a big thing where you got to register and, you know, hide from the law. And I think there will be some privacy focused projects, there probably already are, that are essentially completely anonymous where like nobody makes their face known. And those I think have a chance too, but
well, I mean, like Monero, like technically, really nobody knows who started Monero. We know, but we don't know.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So, on that note, what's your guys' favorite privacy coin? Mine is Monero.
Monero, yeah, for me
I
too.
think that's general consensus for everybody here.
Yeah, I go ahead.
Oh, definitely Monero. I was gonna make some like, oh, mine's Haven coin, but no.
I really don't see a big future for some of these other privacy coins because Monero is so on top of things, development-wise and whatnot. I just like Zcoin and Zcash. You know, I just don't see a very good future. And eventually, they're going to have to phase out, and there's going to be a winner in the privacy coin sector.
Well, and Zcash is like especially strange to me because it has all this great technology, you know, with snarks that are, you know, they're really at the forefront of utilizing those on the blockchain. But it also has the optional privacy thing, which I think is completely counter or antithetical to what a privacy coin should be. It should be every single transaction is private because every single transaction that's not is an attack vector where you can find out other transactions through it. And I think Monero is like the only one that like has usability, developers. It's actually being accepted certain places where people like using privacy coins. We can all think of those, and it's completely private. You know, there are very little loopholes, and that's really the goal of a privacy coin. And so Zcash is like a very strange one to me in that regard.
I'm very curious to see what Charlie Lee is doing with LTC. And these privacy things he keeps hinting at. It could cause quite the rally in LTC if it's decent enough. We'll have to see on that, though. I haven't really been paying attention to it too much.
This is a question, Nick, that I wanted to touch on from the chat, asked by Crypto Mike Tyson. What percentage of people do you think can honestly make a living trading full-time?
Percentage? That's really hard to say, but I'll say this. If you're looking to be a trader full-time with no other job, you know, and people disagree with me on this. I actually got asked this on my last show. You need at least $1 million portfolio in this day and age to just live a very medium lifestyle. Because as a day trader, you know, your portfolio fluctuates a lot, and you need to be able to absorb those losses and those down streaks. That's the reality of it. Any trader out there that says, "Oh, you know, my portfolio only goes up," and they're a full-time day trader, they're lying. I don't care. There's nobody that good. If there was, then they would own the entire market. They would literally trade their way up to own the entire market cap. And by the way, Crypto Mike Tyson, one of the best Twitter accounts on Twitter. Shout out to him. With the Yef. I saw his Yef in the chat a minute ago. But another factor that a lot of people fail to realize when they go into trading full time is emotions and discipline. It requires a phenomenal amount of emotional control and discipline to do that full time. You cannot deviate from your trading plan or your strategy and risk reward, things like that, very basics of trading, and have longevity in this market. You might get lucky for a while, such as a lot of traders did in the last bull market, but when it comes down to the real trading, such as this year, a lot of people get blown up, their accounts blown up, and it's because they never learned the discipline part of it. They never learned how to actually structure trades. And so it requires an amazing amount of focus, discipline, and quite a bit of capital. Also, depending on your living lifestyle that you're used to, like $1 million trading account, honestly, will put you at middle class as an average trader. So
that's putting out profit. Which sometimes it's not happening, right?
You're not spending that $1 million. That $1 million is what it's taken to make money. Exactly. And if you're returning 5%, and most crypto traders return more than 5%. Fortunately, crypto is volatile enough that we can hit percentiles into the tens of thousands annually. It's possible with the right market. And saw many traders in 2016, 2017, return over 10,000 ROE on their portfolio, mainly because of the altcoin boom. But Yeah, it requires a number of factors that people fail to realize, and it is extremely stressful when your entire income is based on your ability to think, trade, analyze, and remain disciplined. So if you can control all that, then you fit into that small percentile that can do it full time.
I think that's a good, honest answer, because that's kind of one of my pet peeves about crypto Twitter is I think there's this romanticization of trading, and a lot of people I think the vast majority of people lose money, and that's probably a little bit different in crypto where there's still some market inefficiencies because of the lack of liquidity. But it's not an easy thing. I mean, if you can do it, great, more power to you. But it takes a lot of skill, a lot of emotional control, like you said, a lot of research, and also, like you said, a big portfolio. Because you're living off of some of that money. So you can't just say, I have 50 grand, which means I have 50 grand to pay my rent for the next 24 months or whatever, because you need that to trade. So you can't just draw into your capital all the time. And I mean, these seem like obvious things, but I do think these go unconsidered by a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, money management. It's huge, right? Because like you're not getting a paycheck every week or 2 weeks that you can just depend on, right? So you almost need to be planning, okay, bills, expenses, all of this 6 months out. What is just a base amount that I'm going to need just for that? And then you worry about actually trying to make money too, right? To me, there's way more money management that goes into actually trying to be a full-time trader than most would even, I think, imagine.
That's a good point, Prince, that I missed. So besides, a trading account of $1 million, you're going to need about 6 months in expenses at all times saved. And every time that fluctuates below the 6 months, you need to refill that. And it just, you need to know how much it costs to live every month, save all that up, and then you need a trading account on top of that, and time. That's another thing is time. It requires a lot of time and focus. You really can't just do it an hour a day. It requires a lot.
And you have to account for years like this where, you very well may lose money. I mean, 2017, you almost had to be an idiot not to be making tons of money. But this has not at all been like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Story I wanted to touch on real quick. Have you seen anything about this Brock Pierce trying to revitalize Mt. Gox thing, Nick?
Yeah, I have, and I was actually just reading up on it. Sorry, sending this text. My apologies. Extremely urgent. So Abacus Journal is a company that I guess I'm partnered with. They're launching a platform coming up. It's going to be the Bloomberg of crypto. Anyway, they have been keeping an eye on this, tweeting on it and stuff. And I saw him and Mark going back and forth at it the other day on Twitter. And it was kind of funny. For one, Brock Pierce is an interesting fellow. I've met him at conferences and stuff, but I just don't know how much faith to put in the guy overall and things he says. And I never have. When you have to tell everybody you're a billionaire, a few red flags go up. And there's no doubt he's made a lot of money, but just be who you are. Don't try to be, Elon Musk or whoever he's trying to go for. And this Gox thing appears like he's just talking out his ass and there is no deal. And he's trying to use social media as a platform to leverage a deal. And anyway, so Abacus Journal was talking about it. I was reading up on it before this a couple hours ago, and it appears there's nothing there so far, at least legally. Not to mention the Japanese courts have to approve a sale of this. And I'm not sure what his actual plan is, on reviving Gox. Do you guys know, I don't know how long you guys have been in crypto. Do you guys know what Gox used to be?
Magic the Gathering, online exchange.
Yeah, yeah. That still makes me chuckle every day that Magic the Gathering started all this shit. Magic the Gathering trading cards. But yeah.
I found it just crazy. It's like, why the hell do you want to revive Gox, the brand name that caused so much of a shit show for so many people? It's like,
my only thought is he is somehow playing this Bitcoin hex into it because there will no doubt be a lot of people that sign up for Gox just because it's been in the freaking news a lot. There's also going to be a lot of people that don't because it's been in the news. But I started thinking, so what if he's going to use this hex? Because in his eyes, he's going to replace Bitcoin with Bitcoin hex. whatever hex is. I honestly don't know. Anything with the name Bitcoin in it is a fraud in itself. Just be, if you're going to be a fork of it or whatever, call it something else. Don't put Bitcoin in front of it. Plus, it kind of cheapens it. I mean, Bitcoin Dark, Bitcoin Private, Bitcoin Cash, it's just a cheap name at this point. There's only one Bitcoin. Just be the coin you're meant to be. So I was thinking on this. Maybe perhaps he needs an exchange that's going to have enough attention on it to use this hex as like the main trading pair in it or whatever. And that's his strategy on this, because if he buys some like small ass exchange or starts an exchange and the only trading pair on it is hex, nobody's going to go on that. But something like Gox might provide the platform for that. So that's my only thought on his potential strategy with Gox. Or am I confusing individuals here?
No.
Oh, Brock.
As far as I know, I mean, I'm not like too up to date on it. I mean, I'm not sure about the hex stuff. I don't know about that. So
Mike Tyson, is correcting me on that. Maybe I think I'm confusing the two here. Maybe I need to read up on this a little bit, but that's really how much I care about it.
That's pretty much
confusing two guys that are under 5 foot nothing. So
funny. Well, Nick, you got you plugged your Discord group a little bit. Do you want maybe to give someone that was listening, if they want to join that, where could they find a link to that or anything?
Yeah, it's on the top of my Twitter. It's just say Discord. You can join there. It's on the top of a few people's Twitters. It's a free group. I'm not trying to make any money in it. I did see a question in the chat. If I can get to that real quick.
Yeah, have that. Sure.
It's on Tyler Jenks's Hyperwave. He's teaching a seminar this weekend. I will be attending it, and I'm attending it because I want to learn about it. His Hyperwave theory is calling for 1,000. I'm not on board with Hyperwave yet. I don't believe it's. I'm not a believer in Hyperwave yet, and I believe that if we do cross under like 2,400, trading Bitcoin is going to be basically impossible at that point. I think we'll drag out for years under that, under 2,000, like commodities do. They'll drag out for a decade or two sometimes when they hit these ridiculous retraces on these huge upwaves. But my thoughts on Hyperwave and Tyler Jenks is I respect Tyler a lot. Tyler's a friend of mine, as is Leah. They have their Fun Lucid funds, and they're friends. I just am not entirely on board with Hyperwave, but maybe one day I'll change my mind. Also, I don't quite understand it 100% and why things are correct like they do in a Hyperwave and why they have to. So maybe I'll change my mind one day, but that's my thoughts on that.
I know nothing about Hyperwave. Is that like a playoff of Elliott Wave, or am I stretching here?
No, it's not. It's more of so things that have gigantic parabolic moves typically enter or fit the format for a Hyperwave, such as Bitcoin, Amazon. I think Amazon is in a Hyperwave by their definition. And Tyler Jenks has been trading, longer than anybody, even longer than Peter Brandt. And, he's come up with some great theories in trading and ones that actually exist. My thing on Hyperwave is I got to see it to believe it. And maybe it'll be too late. And also, but a part of me is just like, if we cross that low, then I know, crypto trading is going to be off the board for a long time at that point. And I don't think we recover for quite a while. At that point, bubbles popped. But yeah, Hyperwave is just a best way to put it. A parabolic assets fit it, and when they correct really hard and really far.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, Nick. Again, check him out on his Twitter. It's crypto_core. He's got the link to his Discord group in there. A lot of other good stuff on his feed, so check him out. Thanks again, Nick, so much for joining us. It was a good episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. From Prince L. Whale, a.k.a. Killer, and myself, tip your waitress, hootskis, have some hootskis with the boys or the gals or whoever. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, guys. Peace out. Stay safe.
See you guys.
See you.